Hello and welcome to Reuters Events Pharma USA 2026. Today, we're joined by Jeff Dill, the Group President of Innovation and Growth at Inizio Ignite. Jeff, welcome. Thanks very much for joining us today.
Great to be here. Thank you.
So let's just talk about some generalities about the conference now. As you've been engaging with health and life science people here, what feels right, what's top of mind right now? What are the conversations that you've been having?
Yeah, one word that I feel like keeps coming up more and more is the topic of urgency. And it's not necessarily the urgency to grow, which is also important, but I think I'm hearing leaders talk about the urgency to ensure that their operating model and that their structure is set up so that it can adapt quickly to change. Like if you think about a lot of the pressures that a lot of commercial leaders are under, whether it's compressed launch timelines or cost discipline or pricing volatility, or the desire to implement innovation and AI into their processes, and even global dynamics with innovation in China. I think there's a need to actually look at things more in days or weeks versus months and quarters. That need to adapt quickly, I think, is one of the most top of mind topics right now.
And that funnels straight into change and organizational change. What do you think are the most fundamental aspects of that for pharma right now, whether it's how clients operate, how decisions are getting made, or how drugs are brought to market?
Yeah, I think what I'm hearing more is the need to translate strategy into action more quickly than ever before, right? I think historically, I think pharma has been really good at figuring out how to get really excellent within a specific function, whether that's medical affairs or whether that's commercial or whether that's launch planning. I think right now there's a desire to break down those silos and have more of a structural integration across the different functions. I think that's going to be a key differentiator moving forward.
So as these shifts accelerate, where do you think the biggest gaps are emerging in strategy and execution?
Yeah, I think, there's an example I have where we recently looked at 200 product launches across the industry and found an interesting statistic that over half of them actually missed their first year expectations based on what was expected. And I think a lot of those products were differentiated products in established care pathways. So I don't think the challenge was necessarily innovation. I think what it was disciplined execution. And so we have an analogy that we like to use called the eagle trap, which is, so if you have an eagle and there's two rabbits that it might chase after, and if it tries to go after both rabbits that are going in opposite directions, it's probably not going to get either rabbit. So as opposed to like, all right, I'm going to focus on this one rabbit, I'm going to get it, and I still have a chance of getting the other one, but at least I've got one of them. And I think that's a good analogy for pharma right now, where I think it's going to be more important right now what to say no to versus what to say yes to. So that critical, ruthless prioritization is going to be so important.
Now, AI, obviously, we have to talk about AI, but thinking about organizations who are getting measurable value, who are actually making it work and deliver the results. And then there are those, understandably, still not quite sure, tinkering, experimenting on the fringes. What are the real differences between the two?
Yeah, I think some of the dynamics, there's clearly a lot of investment that's happening across AI. And I think if you look at purely at the algorithms or the tools, certainly important, but I think the real differentiator is data. So having that proprietary data, having a well-governed data structure, and also trying to figure out how to create AI within your existing decision workflows, right? Whether that's asset prioritization or launch planning or brand planning. I think those companies that aren't just tinkering and piloting at a silo level, I think will actually win the day. And now, of course, you can experiment and you're going to get some efficiencies or some speed with certain AI. But once you've actually looked at across, well-governed data and within your decision workflows, that will be the game changer.
In this environment of accelerating complexity, how do you think leaders should align strategy, data, and execution to drive growth?
Yeah, I think the topic of commercial enablement is an interesting one. And I think it's not just about tools and training alone anymore. And I think what you said is so important. You really do need to align your strategy, your data, and your execution, right? And so until you've done that, I think it can be disparate. I think having the ability for commercial leaders to know what's working well, what's not going as well, what do I do to change it? And that requires real-time insight, right? When that's leveraging your own proprietary data, having commercial analytics at your fingertips. And I think the what's going to be most successful for commercial enablement is when you look at things from a structured ecosystem versus disparate entities.
So just in closing, looking forward, what excites you most about innovation and growth in the life sciences?
Yeah, I think the first thing is, and certainly from a patient standpoint, the science has never been stronger, which is really exciting. I think the other aspect is that the tools and the data that are at the hands of commercial leaders have never been more powerful either. So I think the real challenge is, how do you actually pair that exciting innovation with disciplined execution, right? That can allow you to grow and also to deliver the most value to patients.
Fantastic. That concludes the interview. Thank you so
Great.
much,
Thank you.
Jeff Dill from Inizio Ignite.
Thank you.